What's going on, YouTube? We are back. I got another video for you guys today. As you can see, I'm out here on the Lake Wilhelm. I am at Launch Area 2. It's about 2 miles from where I parked my car. There's a real nice trail. I believe it's the Maurice K. Goddard Trail. I'm not certain of what the name is. I don't really pay that much attention to it. I just know it's a beautiful walk, especially this time of year. So I walked about 2 miles to get to where I'm at. Now I'm sitting right here by the lake, and I'm going to share some thoughts with you guys today. Hope you guys enjoy it. Today, I'm going to be smoking out of my Maurice 336. You guys have seen it plenty of times before, I believe. And what I'm going to be smoking today is some Briar Fellowship's Witchthorn. Again, this is currently my favorite blend. I think it's just, you couldn't have a better blend for this time of year. James really knocked that one out of the park, as he does all of his other ones that I've tried. So, but I got some things I want to talk about today. So we'll see how you guys feel about it, and we'll be right back.
Sometimes you just have to get away. To put things in perspective, wind down. This helps. Amphora. There's no rush here. Just plenty of time to concentrate on the really important things. Come on, boy. Let's go fishing.
Mellow, bite-free Amphora. The comfortable smoke.
I think this is the best heavy Latakia blend I've ever smoked. I don't know if it's a different kind of Latakia than the other ones I've tried, which are plenty. I couldn't even name them, but this blend is just, it's next level, man. So, first thing I want to talk about is this idea that I had. I know I've been talking about food quite a bit lately, and about how these companies have orchestrated these marketing attacks over the last 20, 30 years, convincing and tricking Americans into buying these ultra-processed products and consuming them. Most importantly, the kids of this country, myself included. So I've been thinking of how they did that. How did they manipulate and trick an entire population of people, a very large population of people, to essentially poison themselves? What was the incentive behind that? So I started thinking. I didn't really look into it much, but I started thinking about how Philip Morris and R.J. Reynolds did it with the cigarettes way back in the day. And I know because my grandparents have a couple items here. They did different, marketing incentives. There were, just for example, what my grandparents have, they have a Marlboro beach towel, they have a Marlboro body pillow, and I'm sure many people had Marlboro windbreakers way back in the day. So there was a reward program, essentially. If you bought a certain amount of cigarettes, or a certain amount of packs of cigarettes, you got points that you could redeem for products, for items. Sometimes it was just, a couple bucks off a pack or a couple bucks off a carton, whatever. But then the more you smoked, the more you got. So that's where the beach towels, the windbreakers, the pillows, all this stuff. And I'm sure there were a ton of other products. I think I've seen Winston clothing products, Newport clothing products. So they all kind of had the same marketing strategy, the same marketing attack. So then I started thinking about how they did it with food. Because, it's the same companies, as I stated, a couple videos back. This time, they took a slightly different approach in targeted the kids more. But they didn't use clothing or other products like that. I've never seen a kid walk around with a Pop-Tart hoodie on, but I'm sure they exist. But what they did was box top programs on all these ultra-processed foods, Pop-Tarts, cereals, you name it. If it came in a box and was ultra-processed, it had a box top on it. And there were other like cleaning chemicals and stuff like that had box tops on them too, but mostly the food that we're talking about here. So they started doing these box tops programs in school where the kids were incentivized to go out and collect as many box tops as they could, and then they had some sort of reward system within the school. I remember participating in the box top programs, but I don't remember what any of the rewards were. I don't remember what the incentives were. I just remember that it was, big, and it was class-wide. It wasn't like per student. Whatever class had the most box tops, now it's coming back to me, got like a pizza party or something. Or they got an extra day for recess or something. I don't know exactly, but something like that. So that's how they kind of manipulated and tricked parents into going out and buying all this poison for all these kids. And they did it by school programs, school incentives. So to really see how the corruption runs deep within these school programs, the main body that kind of regulates and controls the different programs that schools run, it wasn't just like one school ran this. Every school had programs like this all over the country. And the only way that that's done is through the Department of Education. So if you want to know how deep it runs, how deep the corruption runs, these mass food companies started putting money into the pockets of these politicians or bureaucrats that run the Department of Education, and they started putting all these programs in to incentivize parents to buy these food products and kids to consume these food products so the kids could get pizza parties at school. So that's what I've kind of been thinking about. I wanted to talk about that in a video, but I figured it was quite a short little topic there, so I wanted to put it together in something bigger, longer video, which is what I'm doing today. But sit and think on that for a little bit while I relight this pipe. It is a gorgeous day here at the lake. I've only seen one boat with people fishing on it today. Which has been about the average since it's been colder out here. But now, I'm going to get into the big topic, why I came out today, why I pressed play on this video. This video was recorded on Sunday, November 2nd. Right? No, today's the 3rd. I'm an idiot. Forgive me. Today, this video is recorded on November 3rd, Sunday. So we are 2 days away from Election Day. Now, I know quite a few people probably don't care at all. I know there are quite a few people that do care quite a bit. So me, with the platform that I've built for myself, I have decided that I'm going to endorse the candidate of my choosing today to really try to sway the results of this election. Similar to how other podcasts have, other YouTube channels have with large followings, if you get what I'm saying. So, I'm probably not going to come right out and endorse somebody. But what I do want to talk about is the policies of a particular candidate. One that, I don't really care too much for. And by care too much for, I mean just don't really care for, I guess. So, Kamala Harris she's been running on two major things, or at least two major policy concepts that I keep seeing about. And it's this $25,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers, and the $6,000 tax break or tax credit, whatever, for parents. I believe it's for first children. So first children and first-time home buyers, I believe, are the two people that are most affected by this, which that's essentially me, my generation. You know, we're adults now. I'm 22 years old, going to be 23. I have a couple friends now that have either bought a house or have had their first kid within the last year or two. So this whole concept really hits home to many, many Americans, but largely my generation, my class of people. So with the $25,000 tax break or tax credit, whatever it is, for home buyers, essentially what they're running on is they're going to give first-time home buyers a free $25,000 to put towards the house. Now, to a lot of people, that sounds great. But the way I look at it, the way I think of it, is if they're giving us all this free money, what's stopping the owners of these houses, mostly the BlackRock, the State Street, the Vanguards of the world, who we know for the last 4 years, maybe longer, but at least the last 4 years, have been rapidly buying up the housing market. They've been outbidding Americans on these houses and buying them up and reselling them for double the amount that they're buying them from, to create essentially a monopoly on the housing market. But what's stopping these corporations from just raising the prices of these houses by $25,000? We're getting free money to buy these houses. They're going to up the prices so they profit and make more money. So essentially it's taking that $25,000, in my mind, and this is hypothetical, it might not be how it is, but in my mind, they're taking that $25,000, and first-time home buyers are going to be putting that directly into the pockets of these large major corporations, these large companies, which already have mass amounts of wealth and are already really killing the American dream. So we're going to be buying these houses for already double the price they're worth, and because of these tax breaks, they're going to be adding even more money to the prices. So this $25,000 tax break, as great as it sounds, free money is always good, right? The way it sounds is it's just really going to hurt Americans even more, because the prices of these houses are going to go up even more, creating a larger issue than what is already at hand, because houses are already way too expensive, which then is going to drive more people to rent, which is only going to incentivize these big corporations to buy up even more of the housing, so that nobody owns a house and everybody just rents. Now, why do they want that? Because they can make large sums of money, and as the landlords of these houses, the landlord's responsible for a very large majority of the work that needs to be put into these houses if anything goes wrong. A good landlord does the best job that he can to make sure that the house is taken care of, and that if anything does need rebuilt or redone, that it's done to the best possible quality. Now, these large, wealthy corporations, they, one, know the regulations and know how to get around them through loopholes compared to the regular, everyday landlord. So they figure out ways to do it as cheap as possible. So they're charging the max amount that they can to get a renter into the house. And then if something goes wrong, they fix it as cheaply as possible, so they profit as much as possible. And that's how they're generating a large amount of wealth to these companies. A good landlord, a trustworthy landlord, does the opposite. He does everything he can to do it the best way he can, that really benefits not only the consumer, the renter rather, and himself. Because if those renters were to leave and somebody else were to come in, they still have a good product, a good house to live in. But this $25,000 tax break, I don't see good incentives behind it. especially not for these large corporations. So that's the biggest thing. And then the $6,000 tax break for the first-time parents, or whatever that concept is. I think it's something along those lines. It's kind of the same thing. If we're getting all this free money, and we kind of saw it during the pandemic when we got the stimulus checks, we've been paying those back in mass amounts over the last 4 years. That free money, as great as it was at the time, as much as it helped me, and I assume many, many millions of Americans, we've been really hurting because of it over the last 4 years. So this free $6,000, I just kind of view it the same way. We're going to pay for it. And by paying for it, what's stopping these companies that are selling these products, what's stopping them from upping the price? Nothing. So if we're getting a free $6,000, the price of everything is just going to continue to go up, and it's essentially not going to do anything. It's not going to really help anybody that much, or at least not to the degree that it should. We'll put it that way. It's not going to help to the degree that it should, because the price of everything is still too high, and it's only going to get worse because of their policies on energy and other situations. So that's kind of my rife on that. But so clearly, if you can't tell, I'm kind of pro-Trump. Now, let me hit you with some reasons why I'm pro-Trump. It has very little to do with Trump himself. Now, the 4 years that I was, or that we were all under Trump, the economy was very well. Business was doing very well. Really, everything was doing great. And then COVID happened. And this was with Trump picking some very poor individuals to be within his administration. He said on Joe Rogan that the reason why he picked these certain individuals that many people in the world and the pro-Trump movement view as very bad picks to be in his administration. The reason why he picked him is because he didn't know how to govern. Obviously never being a politician, only being a businessman. Coming in as president, he had to appoint all these people to all these positions. And not knowing the people in D.C. that well, he had a bunch of people come in and recommend a bunch of people. And it was, pretty overwhelming, I would imagine. And he ended up picking some reoccurring names out of these recommended lists. And they ended up being, some pretty shifty bureaucrats. But this go around, you can see already with the Tulsi Gabbards, the Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s, the Elon Musks of the world, he sees how he messed up, and he wants to correct that this go around. And the biggest reason why I'm pro-Trump is because of Bobby Kennedy. If you guys can remember from a couple months ago, a month or two ago, however long it was, the first video I made after a while, I was wearing a Kennedy for President 24 hat. If Bobby Kennedy was the Democratic candidate, or even the Republican candidate over Trump, he would have my vote, 1,000%. The way he wants to tackle the health epidemic, which I've clearly been talking about quite a bit in the last couple of videos, the way he wants to tackle that, phenomenal. His take on the housing crisis, the housing market, is much better than Kamala Harris's. And having him within the Trump administration would only benefit the everyday working class American. The Elon Musk's, the censorship issue that we saw during COVID, how everything was suppressed unless it fit legacy media's agenda or really Fauci's agenda. Having Elon Musk in to tackle that, to go against that, would be, just very well for the American people. We would have the freedom of speech restored, essentially. I mean, not that we don't have that now, but, we're really restricted on the things we can and can't talk about on a wide scale of topics that kind of paint a bad picture for the people in power now, which is terrifying. There shouldn't be any restrictions. There should be none. So that's partially why I'm pro-Trump is because of the people he wants to put in his administration, and because of the 4 years that we saw, 3.5 years we saw with him the first go-around. Once COVID came, similar to how he didn't know how to govern and, chose bad people to put in positions of power. The same thing happened with the pandemic, and I'm pretty sure most presidents probably would have handled this the same way. He kind of followed the lead of Fauci and the other people that were trusted advisors at this time. Fauci ran the NIH and a couple other things, and there were a couple other doctors that, were getting on TV all the time talking about this stuff. They followed suit with what they said because they were trusted individuals within politics, within these organizations, to the world, really. So, following step by step with them, clearly we can see now was not good. But, in that moment, they thought that they were doing what they needed to do to correct the issue. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Trump because of the stuff that he says, the things he's said and done, all this stuff. But, at the end of the day, I look at it from a policy standpoint and from a trust standpoint. We know what the last 4 years have been like under Biden and Harris. We've seen everything that happened with COVID, with the economy, with all these different subjects. We've seen how they've handled it, and they've really dropped the ball on almost all of them. With Trump, the first 3.5 years, we saw great things happen for the people of our country. And to think that they're going out here now and calling him Hitler and saying all these crazy things about him, I get it because it's a game. I get it because it's just politics. But I don't know. Just crazy. So I am endorsing Donald J. Trump on my YouTube channel. So election day is coming up. Get out and vote, people. Or don't. If you don't like voting, if you think it's all a scam, you think it's all dumb, which I, kind of view it that way, to be honest. But at the same time, I feel like it's important to be an informed voter and to get out and do what you think's best for the country, for yourself, for your neighbors, for the people within your community, and really for the rest of the world, because the world looks to us. World looks to us. But so sit on that a little bit while I relight this pipe again. So I figure now to kind of end this video, I think I'm just gonna sit here a little bit. Just let you guys watch the lake. Watch me smoke and watch the water move. Hope you guys are doing good. If you get a chance, go back and watch some of my other videos if you haven't already. Like, comment, share. Do your thing. And that's about all I have now. So if you just want to sit and watch the scenery, enjoy.